The steel door slams with a sound that vibrates in your molars. It is the final sound of the world you knew. The air is thick with the scent of floor wax, industrial bleach, and the sour, unwashed sweat of 3,000 desperate men. You are 21 years old. You're standing in the intake center of a level 5 Supermax. Your wrists are raw from the transit cuffs. You're naked. A guard, a hack, with a face like worn leather, is shouting instructions you can barely hear over the pounding of your own blood in your ears. You've been sentenced to 15 years for a botched robbery that left a security guard paralyzed. But in here, your sentence isn't measured in years. It's measured in the distance between you and the man standing behind you in line. He's twice your size, covered in ink that tells a story of murders you can't comprehend. He's looking at your neck. He's looking at your fear. You realize in this heartbeat that the law didn't send you here to be reformed. It sent you here to be consumed. Level 1 is the fish. You are at the very bottom. You are a ghost with a number. They give you a thin mattress, a scratchy wool blanket, and a plastic bowl. Your home is a 6x9 concrete box. The walls are sweating. Every time the tear gate cycles, your stomach drops. You have nothing. No shoes with laces, no belt, no dignity. You spend 23 hours a day in total isolation, and that 1 hour in the yard is a gauntlet. You walk with your back to the wall. You watch the cars, the gangs, circling like sharks. The Aryans, the Mexican mafia, the black guerrilla family. They see you. They see the fresh fish who hasn't picked a side. A man approaches you in the yard. He offers you a single cigarette and a bag of spicy ramen. It feels like charity. It isn't. It's a debt. If you take it, you're owned. If you don't, you're a target. You spend your nights shivering on that thin mattress, listening to the screams of men losing their minds in the shoe. You realize that to survive the fish stage, you have to become invisible. But invisibility has a price. You trade your last $50 in commissary credit just to have someone tell you which showers are safe. You are a beggar in a kingdom of wolves. Level 2 is the runner. 6 months have passed. You didn't break, and you didn't snitch. The shot caller of your tier, a man they call Ghost, has noticed your silence. He gives you a job. You're the runner. You work the laundry detail or the kitchen. It's a privilege. It means you can move between blocks. But you aren't moving clothes. You're moving kites. Tiny, tightly folded notes wrapped in plastic. You swallow them. You hide them in the waistbands of your blues. These notes contain orders. Who gets hit? Who's moving weight? Who's the next snitch to be removed? The risk is absolute. If a guard catches you, it's an extra 5 years and a trip to the hole. If you lose a kite, the gang kills you. You make zero money. Your payment is protection. You get to eat your tray in peace. You get a pair of real sneakers from the commissary, donated by a debtor. You're starting to learn the language of the cage. You don't look hacks in the eye. You don't talk to the short-timers. You realize the money in the outside world is paper, but in here, a single postage stamp is worth more than a $20 bill. You're 22 now. You haven't touched a woman or seen a tree in a year. Your mother's letters stay unopened under your pillow because reading them makes the concrete feel heavier. Level 3 is the blade. You've been a runner for a year, but the debt for your protection is finally due. Ghost pulls you aside during the afternoon tier time. He hands you a shank, a 6-inch piece of sharpened plexiglass with a handle made of duct tape. He gives you a name, a fish in the North Block who's been talking to the internal affairs officers. This is your blood in. You don't have a choice. If you refuse, the shank goes into you. You find the target in the showers. The steam is thick. The sound of running water hides the footsteps. You don't think. You don't feel. You just move. The plexiglass goes in smooth, between the ribs, just like they showed you. You feel the warmth on your hands. It's the first time you've felt anything other than cold concrete in years. You drop the weapon down the drain and walk away. You spend 30 days in ADSEG administrative segregation while they investigate. You say nothing. You're a hero to the tier. You're no longer a fish. You're a soldier. You get a tattoo of a small, discreet mark near your collarbone. It's your rank. You get paid $200 a week in outside money transferred to a green dot card your girlfriend keeps. You buy a small illegal radio. You buy enough soups, ramen packets, to stack them like bricks in your cell. You feel powerful, but you've crossed the point of no return. You are a murderer now. The person you were in Arlington is dead. Level 4 is the tier boss. You're 25. You've done 4 years. You run the tier. You have 10 soldiers under you. Your job is to enforce discipline. If a man in your car gets sloppy, if he gets high on the deuce, synthetic spice, or if he steals from another inmate, you're the one who decides his fate. You manage the tax. Every man on your block who isn't affiliated pays a tax to exist. 2 soups for a bunk, 5 for a shower, 10 for protection. You collect the commissary, take your cut, and kick up the rest to the shot caller in the high security wing. Human life has become a transaction. You see a kid arrive, 20 years old, crying for his mother, and you don't feel pity. You feel a revenue stream. You trade a man's safety for a pair of headphones. You're making $800 a month in outside transfers. You have a hustle running. You control the flow of tobacco and homemade Pruno, alcohol fermented in a trash bag. You're comfortable. You have the best cell. You have a television. But the paranoia is starting to rot your brain. You don't sleep until the 4 a.m. count is over. You watch your own soldiers. You know that one of them wants your bunk. One of them thinks he can do your job better. You keep a sticker, a sharpened bed frame bolt, taped to the underside of your toilet. Trust is a luxury you can no longer afford. Level 5 is the connect. You've survived 5 years. You're promoted because you're smart with numbers and you know how to talk to the hacks. You're the connect. You don't touch shanks or move kites anymore. You manage the logistics. Your product is the outside world. You coordinate drone drops, small quadcopters that fly over the yard at 3 a.m., dropping packages of cell phones, heroin, and Suboxone strips. You manage the dirty hacks. You find a guard with a gambling debt or a sick kid, and you offer him a way out. $1,000 to bring in a smartphone. $2,000 for a package of China White. You are the bridge between the prison walls and the cartels on the street. You're making $4,000 a week. Your outside bank account is growing, but you can't touch it. It's just a number on a screen. You wear the same blue jumpsuit as the man you just taxed for his breakfast tray. You have a smartphone hidden in a hollowed-out book. It's your lifeline. You're texting with suppliers in Medellin and distributors in Los Angeles. You're running a corporation from a cage, but the pressure is crushing. The warden is under pressure from the state to stop the flow of drugs. They're installing signal jammers. They're running K9s through the tiers every morning. You're one shakedown away from life in solitary. You've forgotten what the sun feels like on your bare skin. You've forgotten the sound of a woman's voice. You only hear the mechanical hum of the ventilation and the clicking of the locks. Level 6 is the shot caller. You're 30 years old. You're ancient. Most of the men you came in with are dead, crashed out, or transferred to the mental health units. You run the entire wing. You have 300 men under your command. You don't operate in the shadows. You are the shadow. You run the organization like a military junta. You decide when the block goes on strike. You decide when the race war starts. You negotiate with the other shot callers, the heads of the other cars. You sit in the yard surrounded by 5 soldiers and meet with the head of the Aryan Circle to discuss territory in the laundry room. You're pulling in $15,000 a week. You're laundering the money through legitimate construction companies owned by your brother on the outside. You're wealthy, you're respected, and you're absolutely miserable. You can't eat the food from the kitchen because you're afraid of glass in your tray. You don't shower unless 3 of your men are standing guard. Your world is 600 square feet of concrete and steel. You command violence with a whisper. You send a green light on a man in a prison 3 states away and it's done before lunch. But you are a prisoner of your own rank. The guards know you're the head of the snake. They target you for every raid. They put you in the dry cell for 48 hours, lights on, no toilet, just to see if you'll break. You don't. You can't. If you break, your own men will kill you before the guards can finish the paperwork. Level 7 is the general. You're 35. You've been moved to the Ultra Max Wing. Total AdSeg. You are in a soundproof cell. You don't see another human being for 24 hours a day. The guards wear riot gear when they open your food slot. You are too dangerous for the general population. But your power has only grown. You are the general. You communicate through the toilet phone, draining the water from the pipes and speaking into the plumbing to the man in the cell below. You send kites through your lawyer, coded messages and legal briefs that travel from your cell to the streets of New York, Chicago, and Miami. You control the gang's operations across the entire state. You negotiate drug prices with the Mexican cartels. You order hits on rival gang leaders who are walking free in the city. You make $50,000 a week. You're a millionaire, but your mansion is a concrete box with a steel sink. You have everything and you have nothing. You haven't seen your own face in a mirror that wasn't made of polished metal in a decade. You've lost your name. You're just the general. You're a myth to the kids on the street. They wear shirts with your face on them? They don't know that you cry when the lights go out because you can't remember the color of your mother's eyes. You have reached the pinnacle of the cage, and it is a tomb. Level 8 is the Ghost King. You're 45. You are the highest leader, the founder. You have been in the shoe for 15 years. You haven't touched another human being without handcuffs on since the turn of the century. Your world is absolute. Your orders travel from your Ultramax cell in Colorado to the barrios of San Salvador and the streets of Los Angeles. Thousands of soldiers follow your word without question. You are the religion. You are the law. You sit in your cell, staring at the white wall, and you move the world. You launder millions through crypto wallets. You decide which politicians in the free world get funded and which ones get exposed. You are the architect of a shadow empire. But the fall is built into the foundation. The machine doesn't need you anymore. It needs a legend. The younger lieutenants on the outside are tired of kicking up to a ghost. They're tired of following orders from a man they've never met. Betrayal comes not from the guards, but from a kite you didn't see coming. Your own lieutenants pay off a dirty hack in the Colorado unit. It's not a stabbing. It's not a grand execution. It's a medical emergency. The hack forgets to check on you during the midnight count. Your heart, worn thin by decades of stress and recycled air, finally begins to skip. You're gasping for air in the silent dark. You reach for the call button, but it's been disconnected. You realize then that the cage you spent 20 years building wasn't for the others. It was for you. You built the walls too thick. You made the isolation too perfect. You die alone on a cold concrete floor, a king with $1 billion in a wallet you can't access, in a room where no one can hear you scream. The morning count comes. They find you. They don't mourn. They just move the body. The machine continues. The news on the outside reports a natural death of a high-profile inmate. On the streets, your face becomes a mural, a cautionary tale, a ghost story. And at the intake center of a level 5 Supermax, a 21-year-old kid stands in the intake line. He's naked. He's shivering. He's looking at the man behind him. The steel door slams with a sound that vibrates in his molars. The cycle begins again. The concrete never stops growing. This is the life. Blood in, blood out.